Hello, thank you so much for joining us for an E&M mini. So grateful we get to talk today about what we really love to cover here, which is your instincts, but how you are more than your instincts. And we're going to bring marriage into that topic too briefly today. Before we get started, I wanted to say thank you for those who joined the launch team, which is off and running, and you're welcome to still join for a little longer if you want to. I'll leave it in the show notes. Also, the Goodreads giveaway had hundreds of people enter. I'm so excited for that. So thankful and really grateful that we are in that space of just getting to do a fun thing like a giveaway. So hopefully there'll be lots more of that coming around soon with the Enneagram and Marriage book this week. And I got the ARC this week too. So I actually got to hold the book in my hands. You guys are going to laugh when I tell you that it took me about a day and a half to really even open it because emotions are hard for me. And so I got it Friday night. Actually, it was almost 2 full days. Sunday night at about 9 o'clock or 10 at night. I said, before we go to bed, look at this because I, of course, the busy mom life for starters, but like have been working on this. It's huge for years. So obviously I care deeply about it. And that's why it was hard for me. So I was like, I need a moment with God. I talked it out with my friend on our walk and talk, Liza. You might remember her from her 8-9 episode here, Liza Howard. She's a dear friend of mine who's an 8. And we have this strategizing once a month walk and talk at Benderson Park, which is in Lakewood Ranch, Florida. And anyway, we debated and talked it through. And I'm like, I need this to be a sacred moment with God. And yet I also want Wes and the kids to be a part of it. I can remember when Melody started working with me on the Instagram, literally like 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. And it was just so funny to look back on all the different threads of people who had been part of the journey. Of course, Wes most of all. But I was just in that stuck place. So it was so fun to finally get to see the book. It was a beautiful, I can't wait to share it with you guys. It was such a special moment to do that with my own moment with God, with prayer, with my family, then to bring it to Wes and to be like, let's just celebrate with joy together. And I did video that. And you're probably already thinking about how you love to be authentic in your relationships. And when you have big goals in your life, you want to make sure that you're not canned with it and you want to be authentic with what you really need. But at the same time, integrity means this is not just about me. And so we are brought right into today's topic that this is a world project. This is a community project. Whatever you're doing in your life, whatever I'm doing, we're not just doing it for ourselves. So that's an important piece to look at when you're thinking about the instincts. You're more than just your survival instincts because you do care about survival. And without that base of taking care of yourself, we know you're no good for others. As a woman, I know that every single month when I hit this wall, and this month Wes had to deal with me, Hannah, and Melody hitting it all at once. And he and Jack are very compassionate, increasingly so over the years, as I've mentioned. But it's like we have to deal with it even more than they do. Of sometimes you hit your wall and you have no survival mechanisms left. And this was a perfect storm in the sense that it was everybody, but we had a good sense of humor about it. And we weren't off. It was just more of a sense of like, sometimes you run out of steam. Other people are literally running out of steam because they're working 80 hours a week, whether male or female listening here. You might be working 40 hours a week, but that's your limit. That's your threshold. Or maybe you're taking care of littles and you're all touched out and you're like, that's my threshold. I have passed that threshold. So I really just want to empathize with you and emphasize with you that we need these instincts for that reason I just mentioned. We have to rest, replenish. I truly believe that God gives to us when we sleep. And that's a great reminder for me when I do hit that moment of, oh, I don't want to let go of this day, which I hit frequently because I love living life with intention, as you know. And so great baseline work. But we're more than just animals. And sometimes in my enthusiasm for balancing your instincts throughout our glow planner, if you're doing that planner with us, or even when you get my book or just listening to this podcast, you often hear us talking about, are you getting your self-preserving? Are you getting your one-to-one? And are you getting your social needs? But what that can really come out as is all three of these areas in a very selfish manner, in a very animal manner. So I just wanted to remind you of that on this mini pod, that it's important that you also look from an angle of goodness when you're looking at your instincts. Or it could literally be just like to your spouse in your marriage, like, well, I need my self-care. Then I need you to do this for me one-to-one because I'm a quality time person. So I just want quality time with you today. And I wanted to do this because this is what I like to do. And then I also like to see these people socially, and it's my in group. And that is something I did as a high schooler. And that's what can get us a bad name is if we're rising to the top of social organizations or rising to that space in our marriage of I'm dominant over you, my needs are more important than you, or shirking away from our responsibilities in our community or family to say, I'm not waking up to that. I'm just only aware of my own needs. I'm going to stay in my fantasies all day. And I wish I had hours and hours to go over this with you on there are so many nuances between each of these instincts that it could color itself so differently. So breathe and pause with me as you're thinking about your life and how sometimes you might show up just merely instinctually. And we're more than animals. So let's make sure that this week and onward, we're showing up for our crew, whoever that is. And you might know one of my mottos here, and something I laugh with Jen about on our Monday calls is we care so much about the one that sometimes we have to make sure we get back to our bigger business. And it's really important to care about the bigger business, but we really care a lot about the one. So we'll be like, oh, this one person, and making sure this one person on our team is okay. And so that's really a difference from where I used to be in the high school days of, thankfully, I hope you're more mature than high school too, of just like, okay, I've got to make sure I'm secure in my group. And maybe I look out a little bit, but not that much. So this is a baby step process, but I want you to take that step toward expansiveness if you want to grow in your marriage and family and community giving and living. And I really do think we're all blessed when we do that, because I really do think the research is on that side anyway of like, oh my gosh, you get more joy when you give and share more. So I want to encourage you with that. The only reason I came towards self-pres was because I was so done for in terms of that social being so big when I got a little older, and I'm like, oh, I want to be giving and loving. And so I did have to come back to balance in that social and also the self-pres. And sometimes I do miss that one-to-one because I'm kind of titrating between meeting my community and meeting my family, and not necessarily Wes and I. So I love that this Enneagram marriage can be that reminder for me constantly of this blind spot when it's a blind spot for me. And then the self-pres, it's like, I don't want to make that one a blind spot anymore after I had already visited that so intensely. So I think that for you, you're going to have to figure out how can you titrate so one of these doesn't get missed. And balancing is so good. But I also today just wanted to call you to this action step of sacrifice, of love that costs sometimes. Because if we're just doing the same things for ourselves all the time, it's not going to have the same effect. Our spouse and family is going to call us on it and say, like, here's the truth, at least what it appears is that you don't come out of your bedroom, or let's say, and of course we have to treat everything holistically. Like, are we having health problems of any kind? Are we having mental health problems? But once that's assessed, you do have that responsibility to your family to show up, to be there as a spouse, to try to do some turning towards behaviors if you want your marriage to work, and also to love your kids and to spend time with them, not just let teachers raise them, but to be able to say, okay, these are the moments and days and times when I know how to self-regulate, yes, in my self-preserving instinct, so that I can love you better. And so you hear me saying it's not just going to land with you or us as we do this. It's going to land with us a little bit, but also outwardly. Like, you're important, you're part of it all, but so are your people. And this does imply a higher morality. It does imply that there is a reality that we're in it right now, that I'm teaching and really learning with my son a lot of physics this year. And we did this a couple of years ago, but I love spiral education. And of course, when he gets to high school, he'll be doing it that way. But it's really fun to be able to revisit the laws of conservation and all the different laws that are out there for all of us. And there is a reality component to that. You know, as we were looking at geometry today and about planes and straight lines and all these different axioms, we realize there's a lot of truth here, just as we realize certain things are inherent in culture, and whatever you make of morality, it's there in terms of, we know some laws are higher than others, like doing good to others. And we know that Hitler's laws and burning witches, if you're watching on YouTube, you see that I'm putting my fingers up here, like obviously not witches. If we had witches, we would be like, yes, if there were witches, it'd be like in Harry Potter, you have to get the Death Eaters, but like clearly people have killed each other over many ridiculous reasons across civilization and time. And these are not higher laws. These are not good things. And these are not virtues. And so we know there's a reality to this, not just a perception. There is a lot of perception. There is a lot of both and out there. But when you look at these instincts, I want you to say, with all the both ands and all the trauma we've all experienced and all the dysregulation we've all experienced, there's also some very good things out there for me to aim for, like loving others as I want to be loved as well. And we're more than just the animals. You can watch your dogs, cats, everything to see how they do the sexual instinct. It's not going to be like you're trying to do it in your marriage. You can watch how they're going to be self-preserving. I know my dog in a storm, he's like, I'm the most important person here. If he sees a hot dog babe out there, he's like, I don't care. We had twin dogs a couple of years ago. He was like, I'm going for both of them. Like he forgot all about his other girlfriend of the past. Like we have higher laws as humans as we have a bigger, brighter frontal cortex. Many of us believe we have that imago Dei inside of us, including myself. So we want to act brighter. We want to shine. And also we love our pets. No, nothing against our pets, which are very base at times, but we want to have a social instinct that is really caring. And now we can bring this book out here in a bigger way too, in that way. Instead of me just sitting on it for 2 days, I could be like, okay, wake up. Like you need to share because this is a project you worked extremely hard on and you can't just think about it. You have to do. And so I'm right there doing the work with you. I'm excited. I feel better when I'm doing the work. And I want you to make sure that you think of one thing after today's episode that you can do to love your people and to not just balance your instincts, but to truly give to those people that are in your path to be given to. So I believe they're there for a reason. I also know you need to put that self-care back into so that you guys can take care of yourselves too. But yeah, your marriage is worth for you to fight for it. You're worth it to fight for what's good and right and holy out there. I hope you do that. I hope you take rest in between. If you get tired, don't quit. Just take a nap or a micro nap if you're like me sometimes. So have a great day. Make sure you check out the show notes if you want any of our stuff, freebies, products, contests, you name it. We've got it for you. I will see you on Monday. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.